Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to show you how I make chicken dumplings. Now, the filling for these, you could use chicken, pork, ground beef, maybe minced mushrooms with vegetables. It's very versatile, but the dough that I'm going to make and the filling together is going to be a delicious dumpling. And I will be pan frying these, but you can steam them or add them to your favorite soup. So if you stick around, I will show you how I do this. To get started, here in my mixing bowl, I am going to be using 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, I will be adding 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I want to mention, for those of you that always ask about my mixing bowl, I purchased this from H Mart, which is a Korean grocery store, and I'm so sorry, but I do not have an online link for this. Okay, now I'm going to be adding warm to hot water little by little until the dough comes together. Ultimately, I will be adding around 1/2 cup of hot water. If you are not weighing your ingredients, you might want to keep extra hot water on hand or close by because you want to make sure the dough comes together. And sometimes when you don't weigh ingredients and you just scoop a cup of flour, it may have more flour in that cup. It might be more packed. So just bear in mind that the ratio of the water to flour may vary if you are not weighing your ingredients. So now once my dough comes together in the bowl, I'm going to turn it out onto my work surface, and I'm going to knead this for about 10 minutes or until the dough is firm to touch, it springs back, and the exterior is smooth. Now you'll notice I did not flour my work surface. I think if you knead and combine the dough well enough, it won't be necessary, but if you find it too sticky to work with, then you can sprinkle some flour and continue kneading until the dough is workable. Now that my dough has been kneaded for about 10 minutes, you can tell that it's smooth on the surface, it springs back to touch. So now I'm going to place it back into my bowl and I'm going to cover it with a damp cloth and let it rest for at least 30 minutes. I think an hour would actually be better. So this is definitely something you can do ahead of time. Now I'm going to work on my filling. Here I have 3 boneless, skinless chicken thighs that amount to 3/4 pound, but you actually want to use a full pound of meat for this recipe. This is all I had to use today. I had leftover thighs to use, so I'm just going to go for it. But you'll want to use 1 pound of meat. I like to mince my meat when I make dumplings, but if you do use ground meat already from the grocery store, maybe pass it through your food processor or mince it with your knife a little bit more just to sort of get a better texture to use for the dumpling filling. So I'm going to continue mincing this and cutting this until this is done. So now that my chicken is minced, I placed it right back into my mixing bowl. So now I'm going to add 3 scallions that I've chopped finely. I chopped the whites and the greens. I'm also going to add 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Next, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of garlic paste and 1/4 teaspoon of ginger paste. You could just use 3 cloves of fresh garlic and a little piece of finely minced ginger, fresh ginger. That works too. I also added 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, and I did this later off camera, but I also added 1.5 teaspoons of sesame oil. So now I'm just going to combine the ingredients well. And now I'm going to sift in 3 tablespoons of potato starch. You can use cornstarch, and if you don't have any starches to use, you can use egg whites. Maybe the egg whites of 1 large egg will work for this. This is just to help bind it and give it a creamier dumpling texture. I find it really gives it a good texture for the dumplings. So now I'm going to set this aside and cover it and work on my dumpling skins. So my dough has rested, and here I have maybe 1/2 cup of potato starch. This is going to help dust the work surface and dust the skins as I roll them out. So now that my dough has rested, you can tell that it's going to be a lot easier to work with because the gluten in the dough has relaxed. So I'm going to rip a hole right in the center of my disc of dough. It's going to look like a donut. You kind of rip it in half and you start rolling it out into a log shape, and then you're going to just start cutting pieces of dough to roll out into the dumpling skins. Now for those of you that want exact weights, The entire dough weighs 326 grams, at least the one I did today. So let's round that out to 325. So if you're getting 25 dumpling skins, each little dough ball should weigh probably 13 grams each. I'm actually not going to be that precise today, but I at least want to get 20 dumpling skins. So I'm pretty sure I can get between 20 to 25 out of this dough. So now I'm going to place them back into my bowl. Now you'll notice I'm sprinkling some extra potato starch. That's just to keep them from sticking together since I've already divided the dough. So now I'm going to take one piece of dough. I'm going to press it with the palm of my hand into a flat disc, and now I'm going to start rolling with a small dumpling rolling pin. You can use what you have on hand, and it's kind of difficult for me to roll this because I literally have my film stand, my camera stand right in front of me, so I'm going to awkwardly do this. And you can actually roll these out using the method that you like. You can do the whole turn, a quarter turn, roll once, roll twice, turn, roll once, roll twice, and turn. Or you can just, roll it out like you would do a flour tortilla if you do that a lot. But basically you are going to get these round dumpling skins. Now you're going to take the extra potato starch that you have and just sort of dust each individual skin as you stack them together. That will prevent them from sticking together. So when it's time to actually put your dumplings together, they're not stuck and you're not messing up the dough that you just rolled out. So all of my dumpling skins are rolled out. I ended up getting 22. I probably would have had 25 had I really measured the 13 grams for dough ball. So, if you really want 25 with this recipe, go ahead and do that. So I'm going to show you how I put these together. I already have a lot of them made, but basically you take a dumpling skin and then kind of dust off some of that extra potato starch. And then you're going to scoop on maybe a tablespoon, 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon of filling, and you are going to wrap them and fold them the way that you like. I am not a professional dumpling folder. Maybe with more practice I could get there, but I don't make these as often as my family would like. So just take a little bit of water and run your finger around the edge of the dumpling skin just to make sure that it sticks together, and press it into a half moon shape. If you want to do pleats, sometimes I cheat and I do pleats after I stick it together. So now that this one is done, I'm just going to continue making my dumplings until they are all done and ready to cook. Okay, so to cook these, I'm using a large ceramic skillet. You can use the pan of your choice. I'm going to add around 2 to 3 tablespoons of cooking oil. I'm using grapeseed oil. And I am going to place all of my dumplings in the pan. I have been preheating this pan over a medium heat, nothing on high, because you want to develop a golden brown crust on the bottom of these pan-fried dumplings. And if you scorch them and cook on a high heat, they'll burn before everything cooks on the inside. So I've placed them all in this pan miraculously, and now I'm just going to let these cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then after 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of water into the pan. And then I'm going to quickly cover them with a lid, turn the heat down to a medium-low heat, and let them cook and steam in my pan for about somewhere between 6 to 7 minutes. So after about 6 to 7 minutes of cook time, you will end up with a perfectly cooked pan-fried dumpling. And I want to show you the bottom. They are so crunchy and crispy, and they are steamed and juicy all at once. They are just my family's favorite thing, and I know they wish I made these probably weekly, but it is work and a lot of love to do this, which I don't mind, but it also is a treat and special when I do. So I'm going to do a non-traditional dumpling sauce. Here I have a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a tablespoon of rice vinegar. I'm going to add a teaspoon of sugar. I'm also going to add around a teaspoon of sesame oil. Now, a lot of these ingredients, you'll want to play around with the ratios to suit your taste and preference. For example, if you want it sweeter, add some more sugar, a little bit saltier, add more soy sauce. But it's up to you. So here's the non-traditional ingredient. I am adding fire noodle sauce to this. This is a buldak. It's a chicken fire noodle sauce. I think it adds a little bit of spice and great flavor, so I'm going to give that a mix. And I'm also going to add a little bit of hot water just to make sure the sugar dissolves, and that is it. I'm going to garnish it with some finely minced scallions, and this is a delicious dipping sauce. So if you have these ingredients, go ahead and try it. Or you can just skip the fire noodle sauce and add the other ingredients because it is a tasty dipping sauce. I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.